Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. I want to talk to you about something that doesn't depend on where you're from, how much money you have, or what others think about you. It's a battle we all face, one that happens not in front of cameras or crowds, but in the quiet moments when no one's watching. It's you vs. you, and it's time to win. Every day we wake up with a choice. We can listen to that voice inside that says, take it easy, you've done enough, or we can challenge ourselves to do a little more, be a little better. That doesn't mean we have to be perfect. It means we have to be honest with ourselves. Are we pushing hard enough? Are we afraid to fail? Are we making excuses instead of making progress? The truth is, the toughest opponent you will ever face is the one staring back at you in the mirror. You can't out-talk that person. You can't hide from them. They know your doubts, your fears, your limits, and your potential, and that's where the opportunity lies. Because once you understand that the real competition isn't with the world, but with your own hesitation, your own habits, your own comfort zone, everything changes. Winning that battle doesn't mean never falling. It means getting up faster. It means learning from the loss instead of running from it. It means showing up again and again when quitting would be easier. That's the kind of strength no one can give you. You build it one decision at a time, one early morning, one hard conversation, one moment when you decide that your goals matter more than your excuses, and when you do that consistently, when you show up for yourself, you begin to feel it. Confidence rooted not in arrogance, but in earned resilience. The kind of quiet power that comes from knowing you've done the work, from knowing you chose to rise above your own limits. So let's stop waiting for perfect conditions. Let's stop comparing ourselves to everyone else's highlight reel. The real challenge is internal, the real victory is personal, and the only one who can truly stop you is you. It's you vs. you, and it's time to win. The real competition is internal. That's something many of us overlook in a world that constantly measures us against others. Grades, job titles, salaries, followers, appearances. We're taught from an early age to compare ourselves to the people next to us, to see life as a race where someone else's progress somehow limits our own. But the truth is, the most meaningful and the most difficult competition we face doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. It's easy to get caught up in trying to outperform others, to chase validation or approval. But that kind of motivation fades. What remains day after day is the quiet, persistent challenge of living up to your own potential. No one else knows what you're capable of the way you do. No one else hears the conversations you have with yourself when the alarm goes off and you're tempted to hit snooze, or when you consider giving less than your best because no one else is watching. That's where the real contest happens, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of your routine. Every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you resist the easy way out and lean into effort, you're winning that internal battle. You're becoming stronger, not just in skill, but in mindset. You're building something far more important than a resume. You're building character. And character isn't built in public. It's built in those moments when you ask yourself, am I doing this because it's easy or because it's right? The only person who truly knows the answer is you. What makes this internal competition so powerful and so difficult is that there are no shortcuts. You can't fake it. You can't outsource it. You can't cheat your way past it. You have to show up for yourself, day in and day out, even when motivation fades. Especially when motivation fades. That's what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than the version of you that settled yesterday. It's about knowing that when you commit to that fight within, when you start measuring yourself not by others' standards, but by your own effort and progress, you start unlocking a kind of freedom and confidence no external prize can match. Every day offers a choice between staying comfortable and pushing for progress. That may sound simple, but in practice, it's one of the hardest things to do consistently. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they get stuck choosing what's familiar over what's necessary. Comfort is tempting, it's predictable, it gives the illusion of safety. But the truth is, nothing meaningful ever grows in your comfort zone. Each morning you wake up, you're handed a set of moments. Small, powerful moments that build the trajectory of your life. Do you get up early to work on that goal, or do you sleep in? Do you speak up when it matters, or do you stay silent because it's easier? Do you take the time to improve, or do you settle for the bare minimum because no one's pressuring you? These questions don't shout, they whisper. And the way you answer them, day after day, defines who you become. Progress demands intention. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to choose it, deliberately and often uncomfortably, and it rarely feels rewarding in the moment. The workout is hard, the studying is tedious, the discipline to say no when distractions call your name isn't glamorous, but it is powerful because every small, uncomfortable choice you make in the direction of growth becomes part of a bigger transformation. And over time, those choices compound. They shape your habits, your mindset, your future. You won't always feel motivated. That's not realistic. But you can choose to be committed. Commitment means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It means reminding yourself of your values when your emotions try to talk you out of them. And it means recognizing that the easy road rarely leads to the outcome you truly want. Pushing for progress doesn't require perfection. It requires effort. It requires honesty. It requires asking yourself, what am I avoiding because it's hard, and what would happen if I faced it instead? That question alone, when answered with courage, can change your life. So when those small moments come, and they will pause, breathe, then choose the hard thing, choose progress, choose growth, one choice at a time. Success begins with honestly confronting your fears, doubts, and habits. It's easy to point fingers outward, blame circumstances, people, or lack of time, but real growth starts when you're willing to take a clear, unfiltered look inward. That takes courage. It's far more comfortable to pretend everything's fine, to convince yourself that you're doing good enough, than to admit where you've been playing small, where fear has been making your decisions for you, or where laziness has disguised itself as rest. Self-honesty doesn't mean beating yourself up. It's not about shame. It's about awareness. It's about asking yourself the tough questions. Am I avoiding that challenge because it's truly not for me, or because I'm scared I'll fail? Am I blaming others for something I'm responsible for fixing? Am I telling myself I can't when really I just haven't tried long enough or hard enough? These questions are uncomfortable, but they're also the keys to unlocking your next level. You can't change what you won't confront. And you can't confront what you're unwilling to see. That's why self-honesty is so essential. It's the foundation of all meaningful progress. When you look at yourself clearly, with both humility and self-respect, you stop lying about what's holding you back. You stop saying, I don't have time, and start admitting, I haven't made it a priority. You stop saying, that's just who I am, and start realizing that's who I've chosen to be so far. This level of honesty allows you to reclaim power over your life. You're no longer at the mercy of external forces or your own bad habits. You begin to see that discipline is not a punishment, but a tool for freedom. That discomfort is not a threat, but a signal that you're growing. That fear isn't always a stop sign. Sometimes it's a compass pointing toward what matters most. The people who rise, who achieve, who inspire. Most of them don't have easier lives. They've just gotten real with themselves. They've faced their flaws, taken responsibility for their patterns, and decided that the truth, no matter how hard, is better than the illusion of comfort. When you become honest with yourself, change becomes possible. Direction becomes clearer and momentum builds. It's not about being fearless or flawless. It's about being real, and from there everything else can begin. True strength is shown not by avoiding failure, but by how quickly and consistently you rise after falling. Failure isn't a sign that you're not good enough. It's a sign that you're in the game. If you're pushing yourself, if you're aiming higher, there will be setbacks. There will be moments when your best effort doesn't lead to the result you hoped for. That's not the end of the story, that's the middle. What defines you isn't the stumble. It's the decision to get back up. Resilience is one of the most powerful qualities you can develop, and it doesn't come from winning all the time. It comes from fighting through the days when you want to give up. It's forged in frustration, in disappointment, in the space between failure and your decision to try again. That space, that moment of choice, is where strength is built. It's where you prove to yourself that your goals mean more than your pride, more than your comfort, more than your fear of falling again. We live in a world that often only shows the finished product. We see the success, the trophies, the highlights, but rarely do we see the struggle that came before it. The missed shots, the rejection letters, the early mornings and long nights. But that's where the magic happens. That's where character is formed, because the people who succeed at the highest levels aren't always the most talented. They're often the ones who simply refuse to stay down. Each time you fall and get back up, you're rewriting your story. You're proving to yourself that failure isn't fatal. That one bad day, one mistake, or even one major setback doesn't define you unless you let it. Resilience is a habit, and like any habit, it's built through repetition. You fall, you rise. You fall again, you rise again. And with each rise, you grow tougher, wiser, and more focused. What matters is not how many times you've failed, but how many times you're willing to stand back up and move forward. That's what makes you unstoppable, not because you never fall, but because you refuse to stay there. Failure is not your enemy, quitting is, and as long as you keep rising, you're still in the fight. You're still becoming the version of yourself who can win. Progress over perfection. That's a principle that can transform not only how you grow, but how you live. Perfection is a trap. It convinces you that if something isn't flawless, it isn't worth doing. That if you can't do it all, you might as well not start at all. And so, many people wait. They wait until the timing is right, until they feel more confident, until they have everything figured out. But that perfect moment rarely comes. Meanwhile, time passes, opportunities slip by, and potential remains untapped, not because people weren't capable, but because they were chasing an illusion. Progress, on the other hand, is real. It's measurable. It's honest. It allows space for learning, for struggle, for messy steps forward. And it's how every great achievement is built, not in one flawless leap, but in a series of imperfect but intentional efforts. Whether you're learning a new skill, working toward a personal goal, or trying to become a better version of yourself, the path is rarely smooth. You will make mistakes. You will fall short sometimes. But if you keep showing up and keep moving forward, you are succeeding. The pursuit of perfection often leads to paralysis. You hesitate to start because you're afraid of getting it wrong. You overthink, procrastinate, or abandon the process altogether when things aren't going exactly as planned. But here's the truth. Getting it wrong is part of getting it right. The only way to improve is to begin, to try, to fail, and to adjust. Each misstep is a lesson, each setback an opportunity to refine your approach and build resilience. Progress is also sustainable. When you focus on being just a little better than yesterday, the journey becomes manageable. You're not overwhelmed by needing to have it all together. You're driven by the belief that effort compounds, that growth builds over time, and that consistency matters more than occasional brilliance. Perfection asks, is it flawless? Progress asks, is it better than before? And that question is far more powerful. It invites you to act, to evolve, to stay in the game long enough to actually win. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't belong to those who never make mistakes. It belongs to those who never stop improving. Let go of the need to be perfect. Choose to be persistent. Choose progress. That's how real change is made. You are your biggest obstacle and your greatest asset. That might be one of the hardest truths to accept, but also one of the most empowering. Because once you realize that no one else has as much control over your path as you do, everything begins to shift. It's not your circumstances, your past, your critics, or even your competition that ultimately determine your success. It's you, your mindset, your effort, your choices. That means the power to rise, to grow, to win has always been in your hands. It's easy to point outward when things don't go our way, to blame luck, timing, background, or lack of support. But every time you make excuses, you give away a piece of your power. You surrender control, and the more you do that, the further you drift from your potential. But when you accept that you are the ones steering this ship, regardless of the waves, you start to realize that you are not helpless. You are capable, you are in command. That doesn't mean you won't have challenges. It doesn't mean the journey will be smooth. Life throws curveballs. There are setbacks you can't predict, obstacles you didn't ask for. But even then, your response is yours to own. You decide whether those obstacles break you or build you. You decide whether you let fear hold you back or use it to push forward. You decide whether to shrink or to rise. And when you start choosing to rise, over and over again, something changes. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else and start measuring progress by your own standard. You begin to believe not just in what you're doing, but in who you are becoming, and that shift is everything. Because at the end of the day, this journey isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's about showing up for yourself, facing the mirror, and deciding that your growth matters more than your comfort, that your potential is worth fighting for. So let me leave you with this. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to fight harder for your dreams than you. It's you vs. you, and every day is a chance to win, not by being perfect, but by being persistent. Not by never falling, but by never staying down. So show up, step up, and take the win, because the only person standing in your way is the same one who can lead you forward, and that person is you.